In the quiet coastal town of Cebu, music floated through the warm evening air like a prayer. Inside a tiny café by the sea, a 28-year-old man named Raphael stood beneath a flickering bulb, his old guitar pressed against his chest. The café's wooden chairs were worn, and the tables were cracked from years of salt and sun, but when Raphael began to sing, the place transformed. His voice was unlike any other, deep, soulful, and eerily reminiscent of Elvis Presley. Locals often called him Elvis ng Bayan, the Elvis of the people. Children peered through the windows, couples held hands, and old men tapped their feet, transported back to the golden age of rock and roll. Raphael didn't sing for fame or applause. He sang for his ailing father, once a local guitarist who used to fill their small home with Elvis records. His father would smile and say, "Son, you've got that same fire in your voice." Now bedridden, he could only listen from the doorway, eyes glistening with pride and pain. Money was scarce. Raphael's cafe gigs barely covered food and rent, let alone hospital bills. Yet every night, he performed, barefoot, humble, and full of heart. He believed that somewhere, someone might hear his song. One humid night, as Raphael poured his soul into Can't Help Falling in Love, a tourist stopped by, captivated. She filmed him quietly, mesmerized by his haunting voice. The next morning, her video, titled Filipino Elvis in Cebu Cafe, spread across the internet like wildfire. Within days, Raphael's world shifted. A message appeared in his inbox that made him tremble. "You are invited to audition for America's Got Talent." He stared at the screen, heart pounding, whispering to his father, "Papa, I'm going to sing for you, and for Elvis." The bright lights of America's Got Talent were blinding, far different from the dim cafe back in Cebu. Raphael stood at the center of the massive stage, clutching his worn-out guitar, his hands trembling. The crowd stretched endlessly before him, thousands of faces, cameras flashing, the judges' table glowing under the spotlights. Simon Cowell leaned forward, curious. "Hello there, what's your name?" "My name is Raphael," he said softly, his Filipino accent warm and gentle. "And where are you from?" Simon asked. "From the Philippines," Raphael replied with a humble smile. "I came here to sing for my father, and for the one who inspired me, Elvis Presley." The audience murmured in excitement. Some even chuckled fondly, yet no one expected what would come next. The soft guitar chords of Can't Help Falling in Love filled the air. Then Raphael opened his mouth. The first note poured out like velvet, deep, rich, and hauntingly Elvis-like. The crowd gasped. Sofia Vergara's hands flew to her chest. Heidi Klum whispered, "Oh my God," and even Simon's face softened in disbelief. Raphael's voice carried emotion that went beyond imitation. It was raw, filled with love, pain, and soul. He closed his eyes as he sang, every lyric a message to his father back home. "Take my hand, take my whole life too." By the final note, a hush blanketed the theater. Then, thunderous applause erupted. People rose to their feet, cheering, whistling, clapping until their palms stung. Raphael lowered his guitar, eyes shimmering with tears. For the first time, he wasn't just a cafe singer, he was a man who had touched the world with his voice. And in that moment, the dream that began on the shores of Cebu had found its way to the biggest stage on earth. When the final note of Can't Help Falling in Love faded into silence, the entire theater stood frozen in awe. The audience's cheers slowly rose like a wave until the whole room thundered with applause. Raphael stood still, gripping his guitar, his heart racing. Tears welled in his eyes. He could hardly believe the reaction. Sofia Vergara was the first to speak, still smiling in amazement. "Raphael," she said warmly, "that was absolutely beautiful. You didn't just sound like Elvis, you felt like him." The crowd cheered again, chanting his name. Heidi Klum leaned forward, eyes glistening. "You made me cry. I could feel how much love you have for your father in every note." Howie Mandel nodded. "You didn't perform a cover, you brought Elvis back, with your own story, your own heart." Then everyone turned to Simon Cowell, who sat silently, chin resting on his hand. For a moment, it seemed he had no words. The camera zoomed in on his face, eyes shining, lips pressed together in thought. Finally, Simon spoke softly, "Raphael, I've heard thousands of singers in my life. But what you did tonight wasn't an impression, it was a spiritual experience. It was as if Elvis himself was here, singing through you. You made me feel something I haven't felt in a very long time." Raphael's breath caught in his throat. Simon smiled, stood slowly, and reached forward toward the glowing golden buzzer. This, he said, his voice trembling just slightly, is for you and your father. With a powerful slam, the golden buzzer exploded. Golden confetti rained down like heaven's light. Raphael dropped to his knees, crying, as the audience screamed in joy. Backstage, his father's nurse wept, whispering, "He did it." In that moment, the world witnessed not just talent, but love made visible through song. The next morning, the internet was on fire. Clips of Raphael's golden buzzer performance flooded social media, shared millions of times within hours. Headlines spread across YouTube and Facebook. Filipino Elvis shocks Simon Cowell. Golden buzzer brings Simon to tears. The voice that brought Elvis back. Fans from all over the world commented, "This gave me chills, he's the reincarnation of Elvis." And, the heart in his voice could heal the world. Within a day, Raphael's name was trending globally. But back in Cebu, something even more miraculous happened. In a small hospital room, Raphael's father watched his son's performance on a tablet propped against a pillow. As the confetti fell on screen, he smiled weakly, tears slipping down his cheeks. "That's my boy," he whispered. The nurse beside him smiled. "He did it, sir. He really did." When Raphael called home, his father's voice trembled through the speaker. "I saw it all, Anik. Elvis would be proud." Raphael broke down, whispering, "No, Papa, I sang for you." Donations began pouring in from around the world, fans wanting to help pay for his father's medical treatment. Messages of love, support, and gratitude flooded his inbox. People said his performance gave them hope, that it reminded them of family, love, and the power of music. Meanwhile, Raphael stayed humble. He told reporters, "I never sang to be famous. I just wanted to make my father smile." Weeks later, his father's condition began to improve. The doctors couldn't explain it fully, but Raphael believed he knew why. "It's the music," he said softly in an interview. "Love can heal more than medicine ever could." And for the first time in years, both father and son felt the rhythm of hope beating strong again. Months later, the sky over Cebu glowed golden as the plane touched down. Raphael pressed his forehead to the window, smiling at the sight of his homeland, the palm trees, the turquoise sea, the crowded streets he once sang on. He took a deep breath and whispered, "I'm home, Papa." Outside the airport, hundreds of people waited with banners, flowers, and handmade signs that read, "Welcome back, Elvis of Cebu." And, "Golden Buzzer Hero." Children waved flags, vendors played Elvis songs through old radios, and the whole town seemed alive with pride. When Raphael stepped out, the crowd erupted in cheers. Tears filled his eyes as strangers hugged him, thanking him for inspiring their children and showing the world what a Filipino heart could do. That night, he returned to the small café by the sea, the very place where his journey began. The tables were freshly painted, fairy lights hung across the ceiling, and the air was filled with anticipation. In the front row sat his father, healthier now, a soft smile glowing on his face. Raphael took the same spot under the flickering bulb, strummed his old guitar, and began to sing, "Love Me Tender." His voice carried through the night, warm and full, wrapping the crowd in love and memory. When he finished, silence filled the café, followed by a standing ovation. His father stood, tears glistening. "You did it, son," he said softly. Raphael smiled through his own tears. "No, Papa," he said, "we did." He knelt beside his father, holding his hand as the crowd cheered. The same sea breeze that once carried his songs now carried gratitude, faith, and love. And under the starlit Cebu sky, the king's spirit, and Raphael's, sang on forever.